Thanks for dropping in. In this video, I see if I can use sticks of RAM instead of Lego to build model towers. I see if 10 to 20 kilograms of computer kit are protected in shipping by the world's smallest bit of bubble wrap, and I do some maths. While doing my usual search for intriguing or mislabelled eBay listings, I came across this one, with an unfortunate typo in the title. A box of pewter bits, 4 laptops, laptop RAM, computer RAM, and other items. For parts are not working. The listings I love to see. After a mini bidding war, I won the auction for £30 and 1p, with £9.99 P&P, making a total of £40 all in. A look at the photo shows a ridiculous amount of RAM for both desktops and SODIMMs for laptops. There's definitely some registered server RAM in there as well, which is not that much use to me, but the majority of it looks to be of interest. There's also a number of 2.5-inch SSD drives. Some appear to be Intel branded, and they are generally good quality, and it would only take a few of the SSDs and a few sticks of RAM to be working to make this already worth the £40 I paid. There are also a number of other items, including a Seagate branded 2TB NAS, network attached storage unit by the looks of it, as well as other switches and hubs. There are also the defunct laptops mentioned. While the title mentioned 4, the photo suggests there could be a possible 5. Some sort of Packard Bell from the Win 7 era, a Dell Latitude E6510, which is probably from around the first gen Core era, an AMD A8 based system, a Dell D820 which is likely a Core 2 Duo machine, and some other Dell, making a potential 5 laptops. If I can get these going, they might make good freebies on FreeCycle, or they may be good for parts if not. So what did I receive? Well, after almost collapsing by the deceptively small box that actually weighed somewhere north of 10 kilograms, which I wasn't expecting when the postie handed it to me, I was relatively impressed by my ability to work out how to open the box today. I must be improving. Bearing in mind the weight, I'm really not sure why this piece of bubble wrap was included, but I'm not complaining. Free bubble wrap is always good. In the top we have a power adapter for something, and a plug-in Wi-Fi range extender. We then have the laptops. The first one is one of the Dell ones, as is the second. The third is a Lenovo one, which I'd guess was probably the A8 based one. Then another Dell, and finally the Hewlett Packard. I won't look at the laptops any further in this video, as I intend to do one where I'll have a look at them and see if they're repairable or suitable for parts. We then have what looks like a Belkin USB breakout box and some kind of switch router, which I'll have a closer look at in a separate video. The weight of the small box gives away that this is where the RAM and SSDs are hiding, and indeed there they are. After discovering RAM can't actually be stacked that high, who'd have known, I put the RAM to one side again for a future video, and then focused on the 9 2.5-inch SSDs that were included. So what did we get? Of most interest were the 2 identical Intel DC, or data center, S3700 400GB drives. We also have an Intel DC S4500 240GB drive, 2 Lighton 128GB drives, an ADATA DP900 128GB drive, a Samsung PM871 128GB drive, a SanDisk 64GB drive, and finally a Corsair Force LS 60GB drive. Given that these days the lowest capacity SSD you can buy new is realistically a 128GB one for £10 to £15, if only a few of these are working and therefore can be included in future free or cheap builds, then that's going to be a bonus. The Intel ones could be worth £30 each depending on their condition and how worn out they are, but I'd need to check these and see if they are working and how worn out, as the NAND memory chips used in SSDs do have a limited number of rewrite cycles they're capable of. To do this, I use an old laptop with nothing important on it, as there was always the possibility the disks could have malware, and a useful little SATA to USB adapter that provides both power and data to the SSDs. So after plugging one SSD into the business end of the adapter, and plugging the other end into a USB port, I can use one of the many available programs to read the drive's smart data. Smart data is stored on the firmware of the drive itself and includes data on the health and total amount the drive has been used. In this instance I'm using Crystal Disk Info. After repeating this for all 9 drives, I'm able to get a general summary, and it's very good news. All the drives are working and appear to be in generally very good health. Sure, they are all used, in particular the A data, which is only a 128GB drive and it's written 6750GB, or 6.75 terabytes. Focusing in on the two 400GB Intel drives, which are of particular interest. They look like they may have been used in some sort of RAID setup mirroring each other, as they have very similar usage patterns, having not been turned on and off very much, but have been on for a lot of hours, 51,700, and written a lot of data, 2,030 terabytes. But is this too much? To work this out, we need to look at what type of NAND are used in these drives. SSDs currently have one of 4 different types of NAND memory. SLC, or single layer cells, are the lowest capacity, making it the most expensive. It can only hold 1 bit of information per cell, so it has 2 possible states, 1 or 0. As each bit can therefore be written independently of any others, there is no wasted writes, so SLC has the most wear endurance, and can write 100,000 times the drive capacity. MLC, or multi-layer cells, hold 2 bits per cell, and therefore have 4 possible states, 00, 01, 10, and 11. However, if either of the bits need to be rewritten, the whole cell is rewritten. This means less wear endurance. MLC is good for an approximate theoretical 10,000 times the drive capacity writes. TLC, or triple layer cells, hold 3 bits, and therefore have 8 possible states, and due to the increased rewriting needed, are good for a theoretical 3,000 times the drive capacity writes. QLC, or quad layer cells, hold 4 bits, and therefore have 16 states. These are the highest capacity and so the cheapest NAND flash, but also the least write resilient, only being able to have around 1,000 or less drive capacity rewrites. The Intel DCS 3700 drives use MLC NAND and are 400GB drives. So using our maths, 400GB equals 0.4 terabytes. Using the endurance we just stated of 10,000 rewrites, 0.4 times 10,000 gives 4,000 terabytes written. Intel themselves state that these drives are good for 10 drive writes per day for 5 years. This would then give 10 times 0.4 terabytes times 365 days times 5 years, or 7,300 terabytes written. Therefore, these drives should be good for somewhere in the region of 4,000 and 7,300 terabytes written. Our drives have written around 2,030 terabytes, so should be good for a while more. Drive reads do not wear out the NAND, so are not counted. If you compare this to, say, a consumer QLC drive, like the Samsung 870 QVO, that is rated for 360 terabytes written, or just 360 times the drive capacity, these drives would not have been able to cope with the 2,030 terabytes written to the Intel drives, which are also less than half the capacity, let alone only be halfway through their wear cycles. This shows why commercial and data center grade drives cost a lot more than consumer drives due to the components used. Of more concern to me is the fact that the Intel drives have been on for 51,700 hours. Dividing this by 24 shows they have been on for 2,154 days, or 5.9 years, continuously. As other components of the drive, like the controller chip, may also fail, not just the NAND chips. However, in a non-commercial computer for games or browsing, where anything important has been backed up, I'd be happy to use them. So there we have it, 9 working SSDs which have made the bundle on eBay worth it already. If you liked this video, please leave a like, or a thumbs down if not. Please consider subscribing to be informed when the next video drops. And please leave a comment about your SSD experiences. Have you had any fail? Do you buy second-hand SSDs, or do you avoid using second-hand SSDs completely? And I'll see you soon.